Imagine this. You're diving 50 feet below the surface of the Atlantic. Visibility is zero. Suddenly, the silt clears and there it is, stacks of silver bars, chests of coins, and nestled in coral, an emerald the size of your thumb. This isn't fiction. It's one of the most unbelievable real-life treasure hunts in history. And the man who found it? He was told for 16 years, you're wasting your life. But in the end, he walked away with $500 million and a legacy even Hollywood can't make up. Welcome to Bizilon, where we decode the biggest untold stories in money, ambition, and tech. Today, we bring you the wild tale of the Atocha, the most wanted shipwreck on Earth, and the stubborn, brilliant, heartbreak-ridden search to find it. The ship that disappeared into a hurricane. Back in 1622, the Spanish Empire was shipping gold, silver, and emeralds from the New World to Spain. On board the Nuestra Señora de Atocha, enough treasure to fund a war. But on its way home, the Atocha sailed into a Florida hurricane. Within hours, it was gone, ripped apart, and buried under sand and sea. The Spanish tried to recover it, but another hurricane hit just weeks later, scattering the wreckage across 100 miles of ocean. Imagine losing your wallet, then setting it on fire, and then letting the wind carry the ashes. That's what happened here. But centuries later, one man would dedicate his life to piecing those ashes back together. Enter Mel Fisher, America's most persistent treasure hunter. Mel Fisher wasn't your typical adventurer. He taught scuba classes, had no Navy connections, and barely any funding, but he had obsession and a gut feeling. In the 1960s, Mel and his family packed up and moved to Florida. Armed with a boat, a few metal detectors, and the kind of optimism that only mad geniuses have, they began combing the Florida Keys. Nothing. For years. Friends dropped out, experts called him delusional. His crew covered 100,000 miles and still came up empty. But Mel had a secret weapon, a historian named Eugene Leon. Eugene found a forgotten document in Spain pointing to a place called Marquesas Keys, 100 miles from where Mel had been looking. Just like that, the search was back on. He attached Meldu. He created one of the simplest, smartest tools in treasure hunting history. He attached giant PVC pipes to the back of his boat, aimed at the seabed, and used them like reverse vacuum cleaners. The propellers would blast clear water down, stirring up the sand, revealing anything buried beneath. And it worked. In 1971, they found an anchor, not treasure, but something. Soon after, they began recovering cups, nails, cannonballs, and swords, enough to map a trail on the ocean. Loss, lawsuits, and silver bars. Then in 1973, they hit silver, literally. Dozens of silver bars and coins popped up, enough to prove they were near the Atocha. But was it the motherlode or just a teaser? Turns out every bar had a serial number, and Mel's team compared them to the original Spanish manifest. Bingo, it was the real deal. But tragedy struck. One of their boats capsized overnight. Mel's son Dirk and 2 others died. It was the worst moment in the whole journey, and it almost ended the mission right there. But Mel pressed on. In the middle of grief, the lawsuits began. The state of Florida claimed ownership over the treasure, because of course they did. Mel fought back, and after 8 years in court, he won. 100% of the treasure was legally his. He'd spent over $6 million and lost his son. The stakes couldn't be higher. A trail gone cold, then one brilliant hunch. But by 1980, the trail had dried up. The team had followed the line for miles, and nothing. Until one day, Mel remembered a story from an old survivor of the Atocha. The man had allegedly smuggled 70 pounds of Colombian emeralds on board. No mention of emeralds existed in the official manifest. Was it real or just sailor gossip? Turns out it was the ultimate clue. In 1983, the crew's magnetometer lit up. Divers jumped in and found more debris, but not in the same line. A new line began to form, like a branching trail in a jungle. They followed it. The day they found $500 million, July 20th, 1985. Exactly 10 years after the tragic death of his son, Mel's crew saw something large on sonar. Divers went in, and then boom, an 80-foot wreck. Silver bars stacked like dominoes, gold coins, chests, cannons, and nestled in the rubble, emeralds, thousands of them. One was worth $800,000 on its own. Another, over $1 million. They had found the Atocha, the biggest treasure ever discovered in human history. The legacy and the real value. The final value? Over $500 million in treasure. But Mel Fisher's story is about more than gold and silver. It's about obsession, about fighting governments, about losing loved ones in pursuit of something most people said was impossible. Today you can visit the treasure in museums. Some coins and emeralds still wash up near the wreck. Mel passed away in 1998, but his story lives on in books, films, and in the hearts of treasure hunters everywhere. And get this, experts believe only half of the Atocha's treasure has been found. half. Somewhere out there, the rest is still waiting. So the next time someone tells you your dream is impossible, remember Mel Fisher. He searched for 16 years, lost everything, and still wouldn't quit. And one day, he held a 500 million emerald in his hand. This is Bizilon, where we tell the untold stories of wealth, risk, and the relentless pursuit of the impossible. Drop a comment. Would you risk everything for buried treasure? Like this video if you love stories like this. Subscribe because we've got more real-life adventures coming next week.